Hello friends, in this video we shall look into the structure of autonomic nervous system. About the organization of nervous system. The nervous system is classified into central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system again divided into efferent division and efferent division. Efferent division is sensory and efferent division is motor. The efferent division is again split into somatic system and autonomic nervous system. The somatic system deals with the voluntary action and the autonomous nervous system deals with involuntary actions. Autonomic nervous system is again split into three: sympathetic system, parasympathetic system and enteric nervous system. Sympathetic system is otherwise called thoracolumbar outflow because it comes from thoracic and lumbar region T1 to L3 of the spinal cord. Parasympathetic system is also called craniosacral outflow because it comes from brainstem, that is the cranial nerve 3, 7, 9 and 10, and the sacral spinal cord S2, S3 and S4. Let us see what is meant by autonomic nervous system. The word is derived from the Greek word autos means self and nomos means control, that means self-control. Or it is an involuntary nervous system that modulates and controls the function of visceral organ or internal body organs. Since it controls the vegetative function, it is also called as vegetative system. Vegetative means the important life processes or the important vital functions are called a vegetative function. So the sympathetic nervous system is also called the vegetative system. In short, the sympathetic nervous system helps in fight or flight response, and the parasympathetic nervous system is labeled as rest and digest system or peacemaker system. About the anatomy of autonomic motor pathway or the anatomy of sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems. Generally, each system consists of preganglionic neurons, autonomic ganglia, and postganglionic neurons. About preganglionic neurons. Its cell body located within the gray matter of CNS. The CNS consists of brain or spinal cord. Its myelinated neuron exits the CNS. This neuron exits or passes from the CNS in the spinal nerve or in the cranial nerve. Then it terminates in a ganglion. The second part of the system is autonomic ganglion. It is a collection of nerve cell bodies located in a specific site within the body but outside the CNS. A ganglion is seen outside the central nervous system in any part of the body. The third part is postganglionic neuron. In postganglionic neuron, the cell body is located in an autonomic ganglion. The axons of postganglionic fiber is unmyelinated. This axon passes from the ganglion to the effector cell or the effector organ or the target organ. The target organs include cardiac muscle, smooth muscle and glands of the body. This is the structure of autonomic motor pathway. It has a preganglionic fiber, autonomic ganglion and a postganglionic fiber. The cell body of preganglionic fiber lies within the CNS. It can be in the brain or in the spinal cord. Then it terminates in an autonomic ganglion. The postganglionic neuron originates from the autonomic ganglion and it terminates in a target tissue. About the details of preganglionic neurons in the sympathetic nervous system. In this system, in the sympathetic nervous system, the cell bodies of preganglionic neuron originate in the lateral horns of gray matter in the thoracic segments T1 to T12 and the first two lumbar segments of the spinal cord. Since it originates from thoracic and lumbar segments, sympathetic division is also called thoracolumbar division. The preganglionic neuron travel in the spinal nerve of these segments. So they are called a thoracolumbar outflow. The spinal nerves of these segments consist of preganglionic neurons. So it is called a thoracolumbar outflow. In this picture, you can see the preganglionic cell body and its fiber. It is located in the lateral horn of gray matter. From the lateral horn of gray matter in T12, T1 to L2 segments or thoracolumbar segment, the preganglionic fiber originates, passes through spinal nerve, and it ends in the sympathetic chain ganglion. About preganglionic neurons in the parasympathetic division. It is otherwise called the craniosacral division. It means it has cranial segment and sacral segment. The cranial segment is from brainstem. That is, from the brainstem, we already knew that cranial nerve 3, 7, 9 and 10 originate, and their nuclei constitute, or within the nuclei of these cranial nerve, the cell bodies of preganglionic neurons in the parasympathetic nervous system lie. These are the cranial nerves participate in the cranial segment of parasympathetic nervous system. So, the preganglionic neurons, their cell body are seen in the nuclei of these cranial nerves in the brainstem. Also, it has a sacral division. Hence, the cell bodies of preganglionic neuron are seen in the lateral gray matter of the second to fourth sacral segments of the spinal cord. The cell bodies are seen in brainstem of the cranium or brainstem of the brain and lateral gray matter of the sacral segment S2, S4. So it is called a craniosacral division. The axons are referred to as craniosacral outflow. In this image, you can see the preganglionic neurons of parasympathetic division. It has cranial segment, it has sacral segment. Sacral segment called pelvic nerve and cranial segment we call it as cranial nerves. The cranial nerves are 3, 7, 9 and 10. It originates from brainstem. The sacral region consists of S2, S3 and L4. S4. The preganglionic fibers originate from gray matter of lateral horn of gray matter in the sacral region. The preganglionic fibers originate and terminate in the autonomic ganglion. Here, the cell body lies in the brainstem in the nuclei of concerned cranial nerve. From the cell body of concerned nuclei, the preganglionic fibers originate and that ends in the ganglion. That is about preganglionic fibers in sympathetic nervous system and autonomic nervous system. Now we will come to the second part of motor pathway, that is autonomic ganglia. Two groups of autonomic ganglia are seen. They are called the sympathetic ganglia and parasympathetic ganglia. In the sympathetic ganglia, again there are two categories of ganglia. One is called a sympathetic trunk ganglia. Its other name is vertebral chain ganglia or paravertebral ganglia. And the second category is prevertebral ganglia. The ganglia seen in parasympathetic division is called the terminal ganglia. About sympathetic ganglia, little detail. First about vertebral chain ganglia or paravertebral chain ganglia or sympathetic trunk ganglia. They lie in a vertical row on either side of vertebral column. They are seen on each side of vertebral column. That is why it is called the vertebral chain ganglia or paravertebral chain ganglia. It extends from base of the skull to the coccyx. The postganglionic axon or postganglionic fibers from sympathetic tongue ganglia primarily innervate organs above the diaphragm. In the neck, these ganglia are called as superior cervical ganglion, middle cervical ganglion, and inferior cervical ganglion. Most sympathetic preganglionic axons are shorter than sympathetic postganglionic axon because sympathetic tongue ganglia are near to the spinal cord. In the coming pictures, we will see the details of these characteristics. This is the vertebral column, and this is a sympathetic chain lying on either side of the vertebral column. So it is called a vertebral chain or paravertebral chain. Then it extends from brainstem down to the coccyx. Here you can see the diaphragm. Generally speaking, the postganglionic fibers from this sympathetic chain innervate the structures above the diaphragm. Then in the neck, these postganglionic fibers are named as superior, middle, and cervical ganglia. The second group of ganglia in the sympathetic system is prevertebral ganglia. They are called prevertebral because they lie anterior to the vertebral column and very close to the large abdominal arteries. In general, the postganglionic fibers from these ganglia innervate the organ below the diaphragm. Five major prevertebral ganglia are cilia ganglion, superior mesenteric ganglion, inferior mesenteric ganglion, aortico-renal ganglion, and renal ganglion. In this image, you can see the five groups of prevertebral ganglion. This is the cilia ganglion. Here you can see aortico-renal ganglion, superior mesenteric ganglion, renal ganglion, and inferior mesenteric ganglion. They are called a prevertebral ganglion because lie in front of the ganglia and very close to the larger arteries of the abdominal cavity or abdominal region. Generally, they supply almost all the organs in the abdomen below the diaphragm. About ganglia in parasympathetic division. There is only one category and that is called a terminal ganglia. Why they are called a terminal ganglia? Because they are located or they are very close or they are within the walls of the target organ. These ganglia are situated within the target organ or very close to the target organ. So they are called a terminal ganglia. Other name is intramural ganglia. The terminal ganglia in the head are, the major terminal ganglia in the head region are ciliary ganglion, pterygopalatine, submandibular, and otic ganglia. Parasympathetic preganglionic axons are longer than parasympathetic postganglionic axon because terminal ganglia are close to the visceral organ or target organ. This is the major terminal ganglia in the head and neck region. You can see here, this is a ciliary ganglion. It corresponds to cranial nerve 3. Next, you can see here pterygopalatine ganglion. It is that of the cranial nerve 7. Also, it has one more ganglion that is submandibular ganglion. That is also cranial nerve 7. Below that, you can see otic ganglion that belongs to cranial nerve 9. The fourth cranial nerve of the cranial part, that is cranial nerve 10, does not have any ganglion. Instead, it has plexus. For example, cardiac and pulmonary plexus, which supply heart and lung. Celiac plexus, which supply major organs, as shown here. That was about the autonomic ganglion of sympathetic and parasympathetic division. Now let us come to the third part of autonomic motor pathway, that is postganglionic neuron. In general, because of the locations of ganglia, sympathetic postganglionic fibers are long while parasympathetic postganglionic fibers are short. Here you can see all the divisions or all the parts of autonomic motor pathway. This is the parasympathetic division, the preganglionic nerve or preganglionic fiber or preganglionic neuron. This is the autonomic ganglia, and this is the postganglionic neuron or postganglionic fiber or postganglionic nerve. Then in the parasympathetic system, the postganglionic nerve is very short because the postganglionic fiber starts from the ganglia. The ganglia of parasympathetic system is called a terminal ganglia. It is very close to the target organ. So this is short and this has to travel a long distance from the cell body within the CNS to reach in the terminal ganglia. So this is very long. You can see in the picture, this is long and this is short. This is the reason. Coming to the sympathetic division, its cell body also seen in the CNS. From the cell body, the preganglionic fiber starts and their ganglia are very close to the spinal cord. We have seen the earlier picture. So the sympathetic chain and the prevertebral ganglion. So since their ganglia are close to the spinal cord, it is very short. The preganglionic nerve or fiber is very short. Then from the ganglion, the postganglionic fiber starts. It has to travel a long distance to reach the target organ. So it is long. This is the postganglionic fiber of parasympathetic division. This is that of sympathetic division. You can see the length. It is short, it is long. Here it is short, it is long. That is a general difference in both the systems. Coming to the features of sympathetic postganglionic neuron. Once the sympathetic preganglionic neuron pass to sympathetic trunk ganglia, they connect with the postganglionic neuron in four mechanisms. There are four different ways or mechanism of the connections between preganglionic neuron and the postganglionic neuron. One mechanism is, or the first mechanism is, a postganglionic neuron or fiber may synapse with the postganglionic neuron in the ganglion it first reaches. Second mechanism, a preganglionic neuron may ascend or descend to a higher or lower ganglion before synapsing with the postganglionic neuron. Third mechanism, without synapsing, an axon may continue through sympathetic trunk ganglion to end at a prevertebral ganglion and synapse with the postganglionic neurons there. And the last and the fourth mechanism is, without synapsing, an axon may pass through sympathetic ganglion and prevertebral ganglion and extend to the chromaffin cells of adrenal medulla. In this picture, you can see the first three mechanisms. This is the cell body of preganglionic fiber of sympathetic nervous system in the lateral horn of gray matter. This is the dorsal horn, this is the ventral horn, and this is the lateral horn of gray matter in the spinal cord. Okay, so this is the cell body. From the cell body, the preganglionic fiber starts. It comes to the autonomic ganglion here. From here, it can synapse with a postganglionic neuron. This red color is the postganglionic neuron. It can synapse or it can connect here. It can end here and another neuron start here. Or it can synapse here and the postganglionic fiber starts here. And it goes to the concerned target organ. That is one mechanism. The preganglionic fiber start in the lateral horn. It can synapse in the first ganglion. This is the first ganglion it meets. It can synapse there then the postganglionic fiber starts. This red color is the postganglionic fiber because that is unmyelinated, that is given in red color. It goes to the concerned target organ. That is first mechanism. Second mechanism is it starts in the lateral horn. Preganglionic starts in the lateral horn. It enters the first ganglion. Then it does not terminate there. It does not synapse there. Instead, either it goes down to another ganglion and there it synapse, and then another post ganglionic fiber starts. Or it can go up to another ganglion, to a higher level ganglion, and it can synapse there and another post ganglion fiber start. That is a second mechanism. You can see the number written here, second. This is second and this is second. It can ascend or it can descend. That is a second mechanism. The third mechanism is it can bypass the first autonomic ganglion and come to a prevertebral ganglion. It is otherwise called a collateral ganglion. It can come to a collateral ganglion, synapse there, and from the collateral ganglion, the postganglionic fiber starts and goes to visceral organ or target organ. That is the third mechanism. It originates here. It comes to first ganglion of the sympathetic chain, but it does not synapse there. It straight away or it bypasses this ganglion and comes to the collateral ganglion or prevertebral ganglion for synapsing. Then postganglionic fibers goes to the target tissue. That is the third mechanism. The mechanism is, this is seen the fourth mechanism. Here it originates from the lateral horn, the preganglionic fiber. It bypasses the sympathetic ganglion and the collateral ganglion. It straight away goes to chromaffin cells of adrenal medulla. This is the fourth mechanism. In this picture, there is no second mechanism is not there. Second mechanism in the sense, ascent or descent of the preganglionic fibers are not shown here. That is shown in the previous picture. Here, the preganglionic fibers originate, goes to sympathetic ganglion, and the postganglionic fibers start there. This is the first mechanism, most common mechanism. Next, it can preganglionic starts here. There is no synapse in the sympathetic chain. Instead, it is synapse in the collateral ganglion or prevertebral ganglion. Then postganglionic fibers originate and goes to the effector organ. Third mechanism, bypassing the sympathetic chain and the collateral ganglion, straight away goes to the chromaffin cells of adrenal medulla. These are the four mechanisms or four types of postganglionic neurons in the sympathetic. The features continues. A single sympathetic preganglionic fiber has many axon collateral. A sympathetic preganglionic fiber has many axon collateral. Also, after exiting their ganglia, the postganglionic axon typically terminate in several visceral effectors. The postganglionic fibers otherwise several branches going to several organs. Postganglionic fibers are several branches going to several organs, and the preganglionic fibers are several collateral. That is why the sympathetic nervous system response occurs throughout the body simultaneously. This is the sympathetic ganglion. This is the preganglionic fiber. Here you can see many collateral from a single preganglionic fiber going to different organs. And here you can see postganglionic fiber. It has many branches. See here, many branches. It goes to different body organs. So sympathetic response occurs in the body throughout simultaneously. That was about the features of postganglionic neuron in the sympathetic division. Now let us see about the same thing in the parasympathetic division. The axons of preganglionic neuron of this division pass to the terminal ganglia near or within a visceral effector, as we have seen already. In the ganglion, the presynaptic neuron synapses with 4 to 5 postsynaptic neurons, all of which supply a single visceral organ. allowing parasympathetic response to be localized to a single effect. In the sympathetic system, we have seen responses throughout the body from head to foot. Here, the parasympathetic nervous system response is localized, that is seen only in one of the organ. The reason is explained here. Preganglionic fiber straight away goes to terminal ganglia, and that terminal ganglia is within the organ or near to the organ. Then, from the terminal ganglia, 4 or 5 postsynaptic neurons originate. Since although they are 4 or 5 in number, they go to a single organ. So, the sympathetic response is localized in that organ only. It is not generalized like in sympathetic nervous system. In otherwise, we can say the sympathetic nervous system response is generalized, but the parasympathetic nervous system response is localized. Now let us see about the neurotransmitters in both the sympathetic and parasympathetic division. First, we will see the neurotransmitters in the sympathetic nervous system. What is a neurotransmitter? It is a group of chemicals. They are released by the neurons. These chemicals stimulate other neuron, muscle or gland to have a response. Then in the sympathetic nervous system, the preganglionic neuron use acetylcholine as a neurotransmitter. Then the postganglionic neuron of this division secrete noradrenaline or norepinephrine. Both are same to create a response. So the neurotransmitters in the sympathetic nervous system are acetylcholine and norepinephrine. Coming to the neurotransmitters of parasympathetic system, it secretes only one neurotransmitter, that is the acetylcholine. That is the difference. This is the image of neurotransmitters in the sympathetic division and the parasympathetic division. In the sympathetic system, the preganglionic neurons secrete acetylcholine first and the postganglionic secrete noradrenaline. In the parasympathetic system, both pre and post secrete only one neurotransmitter, that is acetylcholine. You can see here. Coming to other differences between sympathetic and parasympathetic division in terms of its actions. Generally, what we have to understand, sympathetic system counteract the action of parasympathetic system. That is, there is opposite actions in most of the body organ. In the eyes, the parasympathetic system constrict the pupil. Sympathetic system dilate the pupil. See the opposite reaction. In parasympathetic system, stimulate the flow of saliva. Sympathetic inhibit the flow of saliva. It slows the heartbeat, accelerate the heartbeat. Constrict bronchi, it dilate the bronchi. Stimulate peristalsis, it inhibit peristalsis and secretion. In the liver, it stimulates the release of bile. Here, it convert glycogen to glucose. And in the adrenal gland, sympathetic system secrete adrenaline and noradrenaline, and the parasympathetic system has no action in the adrenal gland. In the bladder, parasympathetic system contract the bladder, and the sympathetic system it inhibit the bladder contraction. About other differences, the sympathetic system contract the erector pili muscles of hair follicle. There is no parasympathetic action in hair follicle. In the sweat glands also, sympathetic system increases sweat production. Parasympathetic system has no role in the sweat glands or in the production of sweat. Similarly, sympathetic nervous system increase the production. Parasympathetic system increase the secretion of tears. It has no role in the eyes. The sympathetic system has no role in the production of tears. In general, as we have seen in the beginning, the sympathetic system help the body to fight or overcome the stress, and that is called a fight or flight response. The parasympathetic response we call as rest or digest or peacemaker. Additionally, parasympathetic division deals with the E function, that is exercise, excitement, emergency and embarrassment. It deals with these situations. Parasympathetic is otherwise called D-division, that is digestion, defecation and diuresis. Now let us come to the applied aspects of autonomic nervous system. We will discuss it in terms of autonomic drugs, autonomic failure and autonomic function test. About autonomic drugs or drugs that act on the autonomic nervous system. We can see here sympathomimetic. Mimetic means which mimic a drug which mimic the action of something. So sympathomimetic means these drugs activate the sympathetic nervous system. The same actions as like a sympathetic system. Example, dopamine. Dopamine increases the heart rate and we saw heart rate is increased by sympathetic nervous system. Next group is sympatholytic. These are the drugs which inhibit the action of sympathetic nervous system. Example, atenolol. It decreases the heart rate. Next, parasympathomimetic. These drugs activate the action of parasympathetic nervous system. Example, neostigmine. Parasympatholytic. It reduces the activity of parasympathetic nervous system. Example, atropine. In all the body organ, we have seen how the parasympathetic act and how the sympathetic system act. So these drugs act accordingly once it is administered to the body. Coming to the disorders of autonomic nervous system. First disorder is Raynaud's disease. It is a disease characterized by spasm of the arteries in the extremity. Especially this mechanism can be seen in the fingers. It is brought by constant cold or emotional stress, and it leads to pallor, pain, numbness, cyanosis and finally gangrene. You can see here, this is the normal color of palm. This is the pale colored area. This is due to vasoconstriction and that area got cyanosed due to vasoconstriction, no blood supply and at last there is lack of oxygen in those tissue. So it appears as blue. This is the dorsum of the hand, appears as pale and blue. The second is hypertension, that is high blood pressure. It results from overactive sympathetic vasoconstriction. Third disorder is eclasia of the stomach, that is due to a defect in the autonomic innervation in the lower esophageal sphincter. This is the image of lower esophageal sphincter. It has to dilate as the food reaches here. Then the food passes into the stomach. When there is autonomic failure, it cannot dilate once the food reaches here. So it accumulates, the food accumulates here, the esophagus will dilate. That is called eclasia cardia. The third applied aspect is autonomic function testing. First one, cardiovascular testing. Normally, the heart rate increases during deep breathing, or we can note heart rate variation during deep breathing. Second is pupillary test using cocaine. It is called a cocaine test. Normally, pupil dilate after administration of cocaine. Third, pseudomotor test. It evaluates the sweating response to increased body temperature. If any of these tests fails, we can identify that that patient has the autonomic disturbances in that particular organ. We have come to the end of this session. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and share.